Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the R&D show. It's your boy Shad, and I had to make sure that I was intentional about coming in and doing a new video since we haven't had a video in about 2 weeks. Ryan would be here doing the video with me, but he is busy, so I want to be sure that I came in and gave a video. Hopefully, all of y'all are feeling good, feeling great on this first day of July. You know, it's a new month and hopefully everybody is blessed and highly favored. But let's go right into it. Melody Mondays. Let's jump into Melody Mondays because we have not discussed what's been going on in Love and Marriage Huntsville in a few weeks, and I want to make sure that we kicked it off with Melody Mondays. I kind of want to just jump right into what's been going on as far as the drama. I feel like there's so much drama surrounding Melody and the millimeters. And it's interesting, these last two episodes were really focused on the millimeters and how certain cast members feel about Melody and her fan base. And after this last episode, trying to hold her accountable or even trying to allude that she has this power to control a narrative, um, it's crazy. It's insane and it makes no sense. The cast has to think about, one, the millimeters is is responsible for a huge percentage of viewership. A lot of people do tune in to see Melody, to support Melody. You know what I mean? And by supporting her, they're getting these views. The whole cast is getting the views. I'm not saying that everybody that's tuning in is tuning in for positive reasons. There are a few people that can be probably messy, full of drama, maybe toxic, whatever the case may be, that support Melody. And so they kind of use whatever that negative energy that they have and they can lash out on certain people that they feel, have done Melody wrong or come up against her. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like we have to be very careful about creating narratives across the whole fan base. And I feel like that's exactly what's going on, especially when it comes to like Stormy's mom and the sit down and how she feels so strongly about Melody's fan base, and she feels like they're responsible for not a lot of the negative things that have transpired on the show, or a lot of the relationships not being what they should be or could be because of whatever the fans are saying or however they feel. And of course, she feels like Melody should step in and control her fans, when honestly, it's not her job to control anybody. She doesn't even know everybody. And so she can only do what she can do, whether that be saying, hey, make sure that you guys are walking in love and light, which is what she practices and she promotes that as well. Um, So it's just very interesting how they're kind of making her this dictator, and that's, if you know Melody, you know that that's not her hardest setup. And again, she can't control the bad apples that are in the millimeters or that aren't in the millimeters, because it could potentially be people that aren't even a part of her fan base, that's causing issues. The lady that came to Stormy's warehouse and whatever that situation was that caused for Stormy to end up going to jail. One thing I can appreciate about Stormy is she did not blame Melody for another adult's actions. You know what I mean? You cannot always blame someone that has no control over other people for what other people do. And Stormy didn't do that. And she was trying to also communicate that to her mother, that, you know, Melody just it's not about her. Somebody deciding to come and cause disturbance and or want to, I don't know, I wouldn't say be violent, but do things that they shouldn't be doing at my establishment. Melody has no control over that, but I can control how I respond. And she responded in a certain way that, caused her to end up turning herself in, which is another thing that's interesting because it seems like harassing communication is becoming like a bigger thing now. Like I had no idea that, cursing somebody out, you can go and press charges. Like I gotta look more into that, but it's very interesting that these were her charges, which align with the charges that Martel got for the things that he did to Melody. But yeah, that's interesting. Um, and so I can appreciate Stormy for not wanting to hold Melody accountable for another adult's action because it's really not her responsibility. You know what I mean? And also the fact, she mentioned her going and supporting Melody at the podcast and things of that nature. So I don't believe that Stormy even has an issue with Melody. And I do enjoy seeing them, in their scenes and communicate and things of that nature. Sometimes it can be tough to control your parents, but what I do like about Stormy is she at least tries to have the tough conversation with her mom and to be like, hey, like, you got to chill out type of thing. And I'm pretty sure she probably maybe does even more off camera, but this is what's keeping her from doing what Miss Wanda has been doing, which is so unacceptable. And it's interesting because I was telling somebody the other day, I said, Tisha reminds me of Candy from Real Housewives of Atlanta, where they feel like they can't have a conversation with their parents to check them, per se. And you don't have to be disrespectful and setting boundaries, you know what I mean? And making sure, like, hey, these are my boundaries. And you're crossing these boundaries by being disrespectful to a cast member, by creating these narratives, by being on social media and, calling her all types of names and talking about her children and talking about things that do not concern you or me. So these are my expectations from you. You know what I mean? And it's just very interesting how Tisha just kind of allows her mom to just do her without any type of consequences. You know what I mean? Like I've always said that yes, we are someone's children, but we're also adults at some point in our lives. And as adults, we have a right to have uncomfortable conversations with our parents so that we can have comfortable relationships, so that we know how to relationship as not only, you know, mother and son, father and son, but also as adults, because we're all adults at this point. So we have to be intentional about setting the tone of what that looks like. And Tisha just is having a tough time doing that. And it's kind of weird that she's allowing, because I would be embarrassed. I would be upset. And I would probably have to make some stern decisions so that my mother understands how serious I am. You know what I mean? Um, if that's the only way to get the point across that you have to stop. And for her to not want to do that, but to kind of still give her permission to do what she's doing is, I just feel like it's unacceptable. And things have got to be better. But I do love the fact that Melody said no more. Because to me, Melody was being respectful of her elder. Let's just be very clear. I'm being respectful of my elder. I don't like what you're doing. I'm asking you to not speak on me, and her not addressing it. But when it goes too far, then you have to address the situation. And that's exactly what Melody did by saying now lawyers are going to be involved and you're going to be sued for defamation, which she should be. Because you got to make a believer out of people at the end of the day. Like, I can show you better than I can tell you. Like, I've given you warning after warning after warning, and you're not heeding to none of that. So now I have to jump into action. Now I have to show you that I'm not playing this game with you. Because, again, I'm a firm believer that as long as you play a game with somebody, they're going to think that they're winning and they're going to continue to play. but it's up to you to put an end to that game. And so that's exactly what Melanie has decided. And and shout out to Miss Van because my mama, honestly, my mama would have definitely completely intervened with Miss Wanda, and it would have been a different type of scenario. Miss Wanda would, let's just say, Miss Wanda would probably never get on the internet again. But shout out to Miss Van because, you know, she's decided to also go high. And we've seen her try to have that conversation, some seasons ago with Miss Wanda, but it didn't just it. She's the type of person where talking to her isn't enough. But I do applaud Miss Van for trying. Like, hey, like that's my daughter, and if you have an issue, talk to me. We should be able to have a conversation so that we can set some ground rules when it comes to our children. Yeah, they're adults, but still, I'd rather you talk to me than you speaking on my daughter or talking to my daughter. You know what I mean? When she's trying to figure out her relationship with your daughter, we don't want to make it messy. But I feel like that's exactly what Wanda has done is she continues to try to make things messy. And Melody even said, like, I'm good with Tisha and even Marcel. We're in a good space. But sometimes you don't know how things are going to what jumping into action is going to create as far as the relationship goes. Like, are we not going to be in a good space no more? Is it going to be an issue because I'm now taking your mom to court or because I don't now have to go off on your mama? I see it as you have to completely take yourself out of the equation. And because your mother has decided to do the things that she's doing, then the consequences all belong to her. It has nothing to do with me. Because at the end of the day, I've already told you to stop and you have chosen not to. So now you got to deal with this on your own. And I'm taking myself out of it. It has nothing to do with me because I don't want to affect my relationship with Mel in a negative way. So hopefully that's her thought process. But we know how Tisha can be. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm proud of Melody because we give people permission as to how they treat us. You know what I mean? And I always say, expect what you accept. And at some point, you're just like, you know, I don't accept this type of treatment, and I did not give you permission to treat me this way. So therefore, I've already warned you, and warning comes before destruction. Now I have to do what I have to do to protect myself, to protect my name, to protect my image, my brand, and to put a muzzle on you, pretty much. And it is what it is. It is what it is. That's how it's gonna be. I think she should have thought about that. I can say that I'm just moving along, but I want to say that I can now appreciate more of Trisha's storyline and where it's heading. It was great to see her kids. Um, it was also great to see her boyfriend have a conversation with Martel to get clarification. You know what I mean? To clarify some things because it seems like there's a missing piece. What am I missing here? Why is there awkwardness? Like, what is this all about? Because nobody wants to be in a situation where it has to be awkward for no reason. Is there a secret? Is there something that you know what I mean? Like what is it? And I guess we're gonna find that out on the next episode. But that was a highlight, and then also seeing Destiny and Sunny have their conversation. Everybody's gonna have their point of view and perspective of what took place, the timeline, how it took place, and even what that conversation was all about and what that interaction was like. But I will say that I don't know, it's weird to me. It's kind of like you don't know what to believe. Do you even care to believe anything? But at the same time, like, is this just a storyline? And it seems like maybe it is just a storyline. I think the only thing that could be real possibly is the fact that maybe Destiny does really grieve that 14-year friendship that she had with Moses because that would be tough for us to be really close friends all these years and now something like this happens and we don't even Like I semi hate you, or I don't have no love for you no more, or I'm hurt by you. Because I feel like being hurt by somebody that you genuinely care about um, is a deep thing that has to be unpacked. And sometimes the other person doesn't understand the extent of the hurt that they've caused. And I think that if we had seen her express that more to him so that he could understand, but then also he has to be willing to receive it. You can't just be on the defense because you're making everything about me, 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 me. It's like, well, I can understand the part that I'll play. It would have been great for him to articulate certain things in a certain way so that there can be some type of resolution. Because resolution is always good, right? Like, I think we enjoy resolution. But if you're not willing to stand in the part that you played, then there won't be a resolution. And you're going to be stuck to this story. You're going to continue to tell yourself this story. And I think they're both telling themselves a story. And who's really telling themselves a story is Sunny. She's a little bit insufferable already. I, she's a tad bit insufferable. And I'm just like, this lady, the stuff that she be saying, and the math ain't math, and then she has to go back and rewatch this and be like, well, dang, maybe I was the side, or maybe I was, whatever the case may be. Just because you have a ring doesn't mean that you was the best thing that ever happened to somebody. You just so happen to give in and settle for whatever it was. And sometimes people think that that's the best that they can get, so immediately they jump into action. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but I'm saying, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Tisha and Marcel, I think after all these seasons, I think we're used to what that relationship is and what it gives. It is very interesting to say the least. The way they communicate with each other, the way they handle each other, but most importantly, the protection. I don't feel like he's like more of a protector when it comes to Tisha. I think he wants to be more of a father figure or disciplinarian or somebody that's always correcting her. I don't know. It's tough because he'll say some things in the confessional that you just like, okay. But then during the show, it's like you should have said this during, not after the fact. Now that we're sitting and we're doing our interview, and you may have now you're responding to a scene and you're trying to clean it up. I feel like he's good at cleaning up the things that he says while the camera is rolling, but which one is it? You know, mm. But I feel like we know which one it is. He's a character. Marcel is definitely a character. Thinking about the sit down that Marcel and Melody had and the valid points that she made some valid points because first of all, if you're friends with everyone or you're cordial or whatever the case may be, something like this comes out with Martel. And yes, if somebody reaches out to you and you're like, well, MAR, but Marcel and Martel are two different names. So I just feel like he was just saying that, whatever the case might be. Say, a reporter contacted you, which it just didn't look that way, but this is what he's saying. You can gracefully bow out. You know what I mean? You can gracefully just be like, hey, I don't know what's going on. I just know it's not me. Praying for everybody involved. Boom. If that's all you want to say. But you can't say that that's what you said and then at the end free Martel, especially not knowing the extent of the situation. And that's the and not only that, how old are you? Because I'm so used to seeing this, younger people who aren't mentally who don't have the mental capacity to understand the depth of a situation when it comes to someone going to jail because maybe they unalive someone or domestic violence or molestation or revenge porn or harassing or whatever the case may be, talking about free them without knowing the depth of that situation. Like, you got to be very careful on putting your mouth on things that you know nothing about. And I feel like because he didn't know the depth of that situation, free nobody. You and even at that age, what are you doing? Like his mentality is just it's I don't know, it's weird, it's childish. It's just it's childish, and one of the things that I just dislike is this huge free this person, free this person. No, they where they supposed to be at. Because if they wasn't supposed to be there, they wouldn't be there. There has to be a reason why they're there. And this is in most cases. I'm not talking about, police harassing us black men and just doing stuff. But I'm talking about in most cases that were detrimental or life threatening or whatever the case may be. Um, People are there for a reason. So no, no free nobody. You exactly where you're supposed to be, and hopefully you're there for a very long time. So I can understand her frustration with that. And I feel like he should have understood that, you know what I mean, having kids and things of that nature, what this can cause and what this can do. And also being a business owner and just being a human being at the end of the day, like to not even consider my feelings. It's weird because I think because I have a heart for the people that it's weird for me to connect with people who don't have a heart for the people. Like it's tough for me to relationship with those types of people. And Marceau continues to like, I don't know, give me that he just doesn't. Because common sense would have not allowed you to say what you said at the end of your text message and to think that it's okay and to sit there and try to defend it in front of the individual that is going through this process. You know what I mean? That this happened to. Um, you would think that you would have more compassion and grace, but again, it's Marceau. And then he brought up the millimeters and how Melanie needs to do a better job with, controlling that. And Melanie made the perfect point by saying, but how are you going to tell me to control some people I don't even know when you and your wife, y'all can't even control Wanda, your mother in law? And at first, you know what I mean? He of course, he's going to easily try to defend that situation or be combative or whatever the case may be. But then he had an aha moment and brought it up to Tisha. And he stood in that because he too believes it to be very true that we're not doing a good job with controlling Wanda. So how can we tell Melody to control people that she don't even know when we can't even control one woman that we know? Make it make sense. That was the only thing that Marceau said during that sit down that made sense. It was the only thing. Yeah, that would be the only thing. So I'm like, okay, finally, a little bit of sense being made. But let me see. Thinking about anything else that happened. Those are kind of my takeaways over the last 2 weeks watching the show. But I also want to say that in the very beginning of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, because I started watching in the very beginning, um, Melody did not have like this strong support system. You know what I mean? And the women on the cast were not a strong support system when it came to her going through the trials and tribulations with Martel. Um, and then when she found the strength to divorce him, I said this before that what she did was she empowered other women. You know, she empowered them and they also found a sense of belonging and also they found a way to relationship with her without even knowing her by caring so much about her, her story, her life, her children, and wanting to cheerlead her on, to help pour into her. And this is how her fan base really started. And I hope that, this cast sits back, has an aha moment, and realizes, wow, like she really did need us, and we didn't show up the way that we should have. But strangers were able to do that. They were able to show up and pour into her and love on her and encourage her. And this is what's been created. And I just think that that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? I think that a situation that could have been for the bad ended up for the good and for Melody's good, and also helped other women, you know, help other women find their strength, their voice, their purpose, and things of that nature. So I dislike the fact that people are so focused on a small percentage of negativity that may not even be a part of the millimeters, and missing the positivity that came out of this whole situation. How all of these Black women have been inspired and encouraged and found themselves through this, this story, um, or have healed some things through this as well. And there's a bigger picture, and I just feel like it keeps getting lost with this all activate, activate, oh activate, oh the melodies are this, oh the melody. If it wasn't for the melody, oh it was. They're so focused on the things that they cannot control, that she can't even control, that they're not even acknowledging the simple fact that there's so much greatness within this following of people. You know what I mean? There's beauty in this. Um, there's positive change and reinforcement and growth in this entire situation. And not only that, there's viewership. They're helping keep y'all on air. We're helping keep this show afloat. Because imagine if everybody pulled out and completely stopped watching. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about, Melody Mondays and the things that I had to say. Some stuff you may agree with or don't agree with. I don't know. Voice your opinion, sound off. Make sure that you share this video, you thumbs up this video. I want comments after comments and new subscribers, shout out to the new subscribers, and would love to get some more subscribers. But at the end of the day, I hope you really enjoyed what I had to say as I hold it down for the R&D show and continue to push out material. I'm going to come with another video, and I'm going to talk about the BET Awards and a few other things. So make sure that you also tune into that video and you tune into some of my previous videos. Would love for you to watch everything that we have and support us all the way. But thank you so much for tuning into the R&D show. And until next time, take care of yourself and each other. God bless. Peace.